Zapier is a product that allows you to connect many different types of apps and automate your workflow. For example, if you use Calendly or Submittable or Basecamp, maybe Gmail or Salesforce, you can use lots of different integrations with Zapier to pull data into Airtable. We use Zapier to save time for our clients because it reduces the manual data entry and manipulation that has to happen in the background. While for me, pricing is one of the less important considerations for my team, some people do care about it, and I want to make sure we just cover that as a baseline. I'm on the Zapier pricing page at the moment. You can see that it starts with a free plan. In the free plan, you can only have 2-step zaps, which might be good in some cases if you just want to bring data from one tool over to another. And your tasks per month isn't very high, so it's only 100 tasks per month. Then you have the starter plan, which is a little bit more expensive if you are looking for multi-step zaps and you don't need them to fire, or you don't need that automation to happen immediately and can afford to wait for up to 15 minutes at a time. Then starter might be a good plan for you. The most common one that my clients and I will tend to use is Zapier Pro. This gives you more access to the features inside of Zapier, so multi-step zaps. The wait time is much shorter, so that 2-minute update time is much faster than 15 minutes, especially if your team needs more real-time data, so that's a good option. And in terms of the number of tasks per month, it starts at 2,000 tasks per month, and then you can go up to as many tasks as you want pretty much. So there is quite a bit of flexibility in the Pro plan. And this is an important factor. So a lot of times we'll ask our clients to build automations inside of Airtable if they can, and then go to Zapier or Integromat or another tool if they run out of options inside of Airtable. Now that we've talked about the pricing differences, which really aren't a major factor in your decision, because whichever tool you choose, it's going to be saving your team a lot of time. So whether it's $20 or $50 or $100, it's not a material difference if you can save 5 hours per month of somebody's manual data entry time. It's also really important to talk through when it's good to use an Airtable automation and when it's great to use a Zapier automation. Let's start off with Airtable automations. The primary reason why we love to use it on our team is because Airtable automations are very fast. Because it's native to Airtable, when a record meets a trigger criteria, then it just fires that trigger and does the action almost immediately, maybe in a couple of seconds. Whereas inside of Zapier, you're waiting anywhere between 1 minute to 15 minutes, depending on what plan you have. When you are a large team, or if the tasks are very time sensitive, that's a great reason why you want to stay within Airtable automations for all of your workflows. So if you have a larger team or your team is working on time-sensitive tasks, that's a great reason for staying inside of Airtable and using Airtable automations as much as you can. The second reason why we like using Airtable automations is because you don't have to leave the app, open up another tool if all you need from a automation perspective is already fulfilled with Airtable itself. It keeps things very simple. You don't need additional documentation, and it's great for the rest of your team to be able to learn what's going on in your workflow and potentially help you maintain it in the future. A third reason for using Airtable automation is that Airtable does have some integrations with tools like Gmail, Outlook, Google Calendar, Twilio, Salesforce, etc. If you're trying to integrate one of the tools that is available on Airtable integrations, it's far better in, I would say, 95% of situations to stick with using Airtable automation. Generally, I've found that the Airtable automation is, again, faster and also more robust. Generally, I found the Airtable integrations that have been built to be very reliable and fast as well. So if you can, stick with Airtable automations, and then if you need additional features or functionality, then move on to Zapier automations. There are also lots of good reasons why you might want to use Zapier. One that we see fairly often is when our client needs to be able to take a record and move it into a separate database. Inside of Airtable automations, you can only manipulate or add data within that one database. So you can't go extend outside of the database that you're working in. And many of our clients have multiple different databases, so sometimes it doesn't meet all of their needs. Inside of Zapier, you can instead say, well, my trigger could be in base A, and I want to add or move or update a record in base B. So you don't have that limitation of needing to stay within one base for that entire automation. The second reason is the find and paths inside of Zapier. In Zapier, you can find a record and then have a conditional path to say, if the record is found, do this. If the record is not found, then do something else. So a very common scenario might be when you have a new client request, you take the person's name or email and you try to find that client in your existing list of contacts. If you find it, you might want to make some updates to that client record. If you don't find it, then you might want to create a new record for that brand new client. That's not something that you can do in Airtable right now, that conditional logic piece. So that's an example where we'll typically set up within Zapier. And third, I think the most common reason and the most important one is Zapier integrates with thousands of different apps. So whether you're trying to use QuickBooks or MailChimp or Basecamp, there are so many different integrations using Zapier that you can create that Airtable just doesn't offer at the moment. One of the key things to be aware of is, once again, Airtable automations is going to be much faster. It probably will run in a couple of seconds, whereas inside of Zapier, you're waiting for up to, most often with our clients, we're waiting for up to 2 minutes for an automation to run. So when you are communicating these automations with your team, depending on the plan you have within Zapier, you need to be telling your team and communicating to your execs or whichever individual you're building this for. There might be a 2 or 15 or 1 minute delay if you're using Zapier, and making sure that is all right with them and that's an acceptable time to wait. Where I typically like to start when I get a request to build a Zapier automation is I check to see first, does Zapier actually integrate with the tool? When you're getting started with Zapier, it's really important to look at what's possible first before diving in. When I'm thinking about understanding what is possible to integrate or what actions and triggers I have as options, I always look on Google first to look at whatever tool I want to integrate with Zapier. It could be Airtable and Gmail integration, Zapier. One of the first things that will come up is a page that has Gmail and Airtable on the page itself. Next, you can go to the section called Supported Triggers and Actions to look at what kind of events you can trigger your automation based on and what kind of actions you can take after that event has been triggered. For example, you can see lots of different options here. Perhaps a new email has been sent or received, a new record inside of Airtable. Maybe for every single client that comes in, you want to send somebody an acknowledgement email or a welcome email. And then you can create new or updated records as well. So the new or updated records could be something where a new customer came in, you verified them, then you checked a checkbox to make sure they should be getting the right emails. So that would be an update on your Airtable record. Now, in the case of Gmail, this is not always a great example, especially if you're trying to send emails. If you're trying to send emails, I would much rather use the native integration that or almost native integration that Airtable has with Gmail already. That's going to be much faster and it's going to be easier for you to set up because once again, it's in the Airtable app. However, if you want to build a process to log all of your emails, which means the trigger will have to be in Gmail, then that's a scenario where you'll want to use Zapier. There, you're saying, I actually want to listen for all emails that have come in, perhaps filter them based on internal versus external emails because you might only want to log emails with external parties and then move or add that email record inside of Airtable. So that would be a good use case for Zapier, whereas when you're trying to send emails, that's a good use case for Airtable. I think the email one is important to talk about because Airtable has pretty good integrations to send emails with Gmail and Outlook, but they don't have any with email marketing tools. For example, when we are looking at MailChimp, it's a pretty good option to consider how you can integrate Airtable and MailChimp or another email marketing tool. And Zapier will also show you what other people have built for you to get some ideas. For example, maybe when a new customer gets added to your Airtable, you're also going to add that customer as a new subscriber inside of your MailChimp. And that does not need to be a manual process, and you have a designated person who uploads or manually enters data every Wednesday morning. That can just all be done instantaneously or almost instantaneously and automatically right after that contact has been added to your Airtable. When you first start with setting up your apps, you need to connect the different apps that you want to build an automation with. We can start off by connecting your Airtable. Once you log into Zapier and create an account, you can see on the left-hand side, My Apps. Click into that. And this is going to give you a list of apps that you already have connected, or if you're brand new to Zapier, you'll need to select an app which you want to connect. First, I'll start off by connecting my Airtable. When you try to connect your Airtable to your Zapier, you're going to need your Airtable API key. I'll show you where to get this key. Once you log into Airtable, your API key can be found in the top right-hand corner in your accounts page. Once I click on my account page, I can scroll down and see this purple section with a bunch of stars. If you already have a key, you do not need to regenerate it. If you do regenerate it, that's actually going to cause all of your Zapier automations to break. So if you're new to this API key, there's going to be a button that says Generate an API key. You can copy that key and then go back and put it into your Zapier window. Once your Airtable connection has been set up, it will show up as one of the options down here. You can see that I've got quite a few things connected in my account. Some of these are for previous client testing purposes. Other ones are ones that are actually active. Next, you're going to want to connect the second app that you're integrating with. That could be a Calendly, that could be a signature tool, that could be any kind of email marketing tools or your CRM. You can connect all sorts of different tools to your Zapier account. Sometimes the connections will be different. I believe for Gmail, they'll ask you to log in and then approve some permissions. For other tools, you're going to go through a slightly different process as well. Zapier will always give you instructions, so you can follow their instructions to connect whichever tool you need to.
Thanks for investing in your own knowledge base. I'm Cherry Yang, the founder of Claribase. We're going to be releasing our flagship course, Airtable Mastery, for free. In the course, you can find over 100 videos on topics like design, integration, automations, and interfaces. It's perfect for the Airtable champion who wants to build their database right the first time. You can sign up for the course at the link down below.